Long before the rise of empires, before written history etched the story of humanity, there exist monuments that defy explanation. Massive stone structures, carved with precision, aligned with the stars, or placed in landscapes that seem to mock the limits of human engineering. How were these colossal works of architecture moved, lifted, and shaped with tools that, by all accounts, should have been incapable of such feats? And why, across continents and millennia, do we find echoes of the same audacious designs in places no known civilization could have reached? Today, we journey into these prehistoric megastructures, exploring the secrets etched in stone, the mysteries hidden in plain sight, and the questions that still haunt archaeologists and dreamers alike. Step closer, because what we uncover may challenge everything you think you know about the ancient world. Rising sharply from the sun-scorched plains of Mali, the Bandiagara Escarpment stretches for nearly 150 kilometers, a sheer sandstone wall that seems to suspend time itself. From a distance, the cliff's ochre surface glows golden in the afternoon sun, its jagged edges slicing the horizon like the spine of some ancient beast. But it is not merely the scale of this natural formation that captures the imagination. It is what clings to its vertical face. Hundreds of dwellings, granaries, and shrines, carved with remarkable precision into stone that would seem impossible to tame. Some appear as tiny ledges precariously balanced over dizzying drops, while others are hidden within the folds of the cliff, almost invisible until you stand directly beneath them. Archaeologists believe the cliff dwellings were first occupied by the Dogon people around the 14th century, though oral histories suggest the site may have been sacred far longer, perhaps for more than 1,000 years before that. The architecture is ingenious. Homes built to catch cooling breezes, granaries raised on stone pillars to protect grain from pests, and stairways hewn into rock that twist in ways designed to slow intruders. Every detail speaks to a deep understanding of the land, a knowledge refined over generations. Yet, the question lingers. How did a relatively small population manage to construct such extensive settlements on a cliff face that rises hundreds of meters above the plains with no machinery beyond ropes, simple tools, and human labor? The Dogon's relationship with the escarpment is equally enigmatic. The cliffs are not simply a place to live. They are a canvas for cultural memory, a repository of rituals, astronomy, and perhaps even encoded knowledge. Within the intricate carvings and symbolic motifs, some scholars claim to find references to celestial bodies, including the movements of Sirius and other stars, a knowledge that seems astonishingly precise given the period. Skeptics caution that oral traditions can be interpreted too freely, but the consistency of these astronomical references across generations of Dogon storytellers is difficult to dismiss entirely. Did they observe the heavens with instruments now lost to time? Or is this knowledge the product of an intuition refined over centuries of watching the skies? The logistics of life on the cliff also remain a source of fascination. How were large stones transported to high ledges? How did families manage water, food, and security in such a challenging environment? Modern visitors can trace the winding paths carved into the rock, climb the wooden ladders still used today, and sense the immense effort required to maintain these homes. Yet, there is a subtle beauty in their design, a harmony between human habitation and the raw vertical landscape that feels intentional, almost reverent. It is as though the builders were not only creating shelter, but leaving a message for those who might come centuries later, a statement of endurance, skill, and perhaps even cosmic connection. Some theories venture further, suggesting that the cliff dwellings were not merely practical or ceremonial. Could these precarious homes have been designed as a defensive measure, a way to remain hidden from invading groups? Or, as fringe interpretations sometimes propose, might they have been constructed with knowledge of techniques now lost, methods that allowed these ancient people to manipulate rock in ways modern science cannot fully explain? While there is no definitive evidence for extraordinary claims, the very possibility invites a sense of awe. Standing at the base of the escarpment, one cannot help but feel that the cliffs hold stories that transcend written history, stories encoded in stone, sand, and shadow. Today, the Bandiagara escarpment continues to captivate visitors and scholars alike. Wind and time have weathered some of the dwellings into rough outlines, yet many remain remarkably intact, a testament to human ingenuity and adaptation. As the sun dips behind the plateau, the cliff transforms once more, colors shifting from gold to deep red, shadows creeping into every fissure and crevice. One might ask, what secrets still lie hidden in these vertical cities? What knowledge, practices, or history might remain just out of reach, waiting for those willing to climb, to observe, to question? The escarpment offers no answers easily. It only invites reflection, a quiet reverence for a civilization that reached for the impossible, and the lingering mystery of what truly transpired here centuries ago. From the wind-swept cliffs of Mali, our journey now carries us across continents and oceans into the heart of South America, where another prehistoric marvel rises unexpectedly from the verdant Bolivian foothills of the Andes. Samaipata, or El Fuerte de Samaipata, is no ordinary fortress. At first glance, it appears as a massive, irregular slab of rock, carved and polished with astonishing precision. Stretching nearly 600 meters in length and hundreds of meters wide, its surface is etched with channels, terraces, niches, and shallow depressions, forming patterns that challenge immediate comprehension. The rock itself seems alive, its undulating surface blending seamlessly with the contours of the surrounding mountains, as if the builders sought not to dominate the landscape, but to become one with it. Archaeologists date Samaipata primarily to the pre-Incan era, initially inhabited by the Chane people, a group whose origins and culture remain only partially understood. Later, it came under the influence of the Inca, who incorporated the site into their expanding empire. Yet, what continues to fascinate scholars is the scale and sophistication of the rockwork. Large sections of the sandstone have been carved with enormous precision, including staircases, ceremonial plazas, and depressions large enough to hold water, possibly for ritual purposes. How these early societies managed to manipulate such massive stones with tools that should have been incapable of such feats remains a puzzle. Did the creators possess techniques lost to time, or was this the result of generations of careful, labor-intensive work? The purpose of Samaipata itself is equally enigmatic. Archaeologists have debated whether it was primarily a ceremonial center, a fortress, or even a combination of both. Some of the depressions carved into the rock resemble bowls or reservoirs, leading some to speculate they were used in religious rituals, perhaps involving offerings or astronomical observations. Others point to the strategic location. Perched on a plateau, Samaipata offers sweeping views of the valleys below, naturally defensible while commanding the surrounding terrain. Yet, the site lacks the fortifications one might expect from a purely military installation. Could it be that the fortress was never intended for war at all, but as a stage for something far more symbolic, an earthly reflection of celestial order? A sacred gathering place where earth, sky, and human ingenuity converge. The carvings themselves add layers to the mystery. Among the terraces and channels, visitors can observe shapes that some interpret as animals, serpents, and geometric patterns. While mainstream scholarship attributes many of these designs to ritualistic or decorative purposes, others see in them a deeper enigma: maps, star charts, or encoded knowledge left deliberately for future generations. The precision of the rock-cut channels, which can channel water with minimal loss, hints at an advanced understanding of hydraulics, yet no records or tools survive to explain the methods used. How were these early inhabitants able to shape the stone so intricately without collapsing sections of the massive slab or eroding the patterns over time? Samaipata's scale and sophistication invite more speculative questions. Could the fortress have been built with a knowledge of engineering that surpassed what we assume pre-Incan societies were capable of? Some researchers point to the alignment of certain terraces and depressions with solstices and other celestial events, suggesting that astronomy may have played a guiding role in the design. Others wonder whether the site served as a hub of cultural transmission, a place where different peoples, from the Shane to the Inca, shared knowledge, ritual, and possibly technology, leaving traces that continue to intrigue us today. The more one examines the rock, the more it seems that every groove, every staircase, every carved depression is a puzzle, an intentional message in stone. Walking across Samaipata, one cannot help but feel the enormity of human ambition pressed into a single, massive slab. The fortress rises silently, centuries of wind and rain sculpting its surface, softening edges but never erasing the mastery of its creators. In the golden light of late afternoon, shadows trace the carved channels, emphasizing their depth, their mystery, and their subtle geometry. It is as if the rock itself is alive with questions, waiting for someone to decipher the language etched into its surface. As we leave the high plateau of Samaipata, the mind lingers on the possibilities it represents. How much of the fortress's purpose remains undiscovered? What knowledge, lost to time, was embedded in these carvings? And perhaps most compelling of all, in a world where monumental structures span continents, from the cliffs of Mali to the mountains of Bolivia, are these feats simply the work of human perseverance, or do they point to a shared understanding, a common vision of what is possible when culture, landscape, and ambition converge? The answers remain elusive, yet the questions themselves draw us deeper into the silent, enduring mystery of prehistoric ingenuity. From the high plateaus of Bolivia, where ancient stone was shaped with astonishing precision, our journey now turns eastward, across oceans, to a land of misty hills and dense forests, Japan. Here, scattered across the landscape, lie the Kofun burial mounds, colossal earthen structures that rise like gentle hills, yet conceal secrets of immense historical and cultural significance. From the air, some of these mounds take on the unmistakable form of keyholes, their rounded and rectangular sections extending in perfect symmetry, a design so deliberate that it hints at both artistry and profound ceremonial purpose. The largest of these, the Daisen Kofun in Osaka, stretches over 400 meters in length, its massive presence dwarfing even the grandest of medieval castles. The Kofun period, spanning roughly the 3rd to 7th centuries CE, was a time of political consolidation and emerging centralized authority in Japan. These mounds were constructed as tombs for the elite, emperors, chieftains, and influential figures whose identities are often veiled in myth and legend. Archaeological studies reveal sophisticated burial chambers within, containing elaborate grave goods, bronze mirrors, intricately crafted swords, ceremonial armor, and clay figures known as haniwa, arranged with deliberate care. These artifacts hint at a society with far-reaching trade networks, skilled artisans, and a highly stratified social structure. Yet, despite centuries of study, the full story of the Kofun remains elusive. How were such massive mounds constructed with the technology available at the time? And why were they so meticulously shaped into precise geometric forms that echo across generations? The construction of these mounds is staggering in scope. Laborers would have had to move millions of cubic meters of earth, often in remote locations, without the aid of modern machinery. Terraces, moats, and layered embankments suggest careful planning and remarkable engineering knowledge. Some scholars argue that the mounds' alignment, orientation, and even their proximity to rivers and mountains may reflect not only practical considerations, but also cosmological ones, linking the living with the spiritual world, the earth with the heavens. Was there a symbolic language encoded in the placement and design of these tombs, an understanding of astronomy or sacred geometry that has been lost over time? The keyhole-shaped Kofun, or Zenpo Koan Fun, are particularly striking. Seen from above, they resemble an abstract key, a design found almost exclusively in Japan. Some researchers suggest the shape had symbolic meaning, perhaps representing a bridge between the earthly realm and the afterlife, or a mark of political dominance, signaling the authority of the elite over vast territories. Others note that certain mounds appear to be oriented in alignment with the sun during solstices or with other natural landmarks, implying a deliberate connection to celestial or geographical phenomena. If true, this would indicate a level of sophistication in both planning and astronomical observation that continues to intrigue modern scholars. Inside these burial mounds, the mysteries deepen. Many chambers remain unexplored or partially excavated, protected by layers of earth and stone, or left untouched out of respect and cultural tradition. Haniwa figures, cylindrical, sometimes humanoid or animal-shaped, stand in silent rows along the embankments, their original purpose still debated. Were they guardians of the deceased, ceremonial markers, or symbolic intermediaries between the worlds of the living and the dead? The meticulous arrangement of these figures, combined with the scale of the earthworks themselves, suggests a profound understanding of ritual, spatial awareness, and the human desire to shape memory in a lasting, tangible form. Speculative theories have emerged over the years, fueled by the sheer scale and precision of the Kofun. Some fringe interpretations wonder if these mounds encode knowledge from forgotten civilizations or advanced prehistoric cultures, perhaps reflecting techniques and understandings that have since vanished. Could the keyhole shape have had a deeper, universal meaning, a symbolic language recognized across ancient cultures? While such ideas remain outside mainstream scholarship, they speak to the powerful impression these mounds leave on all who encounter them, the sense that they are more than tombs, more than monuments. They are deliberate, enduring statements of human ambition and imagination. Visiting the Kofun today, one is struck by the quiet authority of these earthen giants. Encircled by moats, hidden among trees, or rising alone in open fields, they convey both permanence and mystery. The ground beneath our feet may have been shaped by tens of thousands of hands, yet the full story of their construction, their purpose, and the lives of those they enshrine remains tantalizingly out of reach. Even as modern technology allows us to peer deeper into their interiors with ground-penetrating radar or non-invasive surveys, the mounds retain an aura of solemnity and enigma. As we leave the fog-laden hills and gaze across the landscape dotted with these monumental earthen tombs, one question lingers. What secrets still lie beneath the surface, buried in layers of soil and time? What knowledge, ritual, or wisdom might the Kofun preserve, silent yet enduring, waiting for a world that has not yet learned to fully read their message? The mystery of these prehistoric structures reminds us that even in an age of unprecedented exploration and information, some monuments remain beyond our complete understanding, inviting us instead to wonder, reflect, and continue seeking. From the misty hills of Japan, where earthen mounds rise as silent monuments to the lives of the elite, our journey now turns westward, across continents once more, to the vast plains of the Indus River in modern-day Pakistan. Here lie the remains of Mohenjo-Daro, one of the principal cities of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, a metropolis that thrived over 4 millennia ago. The name itself, Mound of the Dead, hints at the mysteries buried beneath its weathered surface, Yet what survives of this city continues to astonish archaeologists and historians alike. Streets laid out in a rigid grid, houses with private wells and bathrooms, and a sophisticated drainage system suggest an urban planning vision that seems remarkably advanced for a society so distant in time. Walking through the ruins, one is struck by the precision of its layout. Wide streets intersect at right angles, separating clusters of dwellings, marketplaces, and communal spaces. Each building, constructed from uniform baked bricks, fits seamlessly into a plan that speaks to both practicality and foresight. Water management alone hints at extraordinary foresight. Covered drains run alongside streets, while wells and reservoirs provided clean water to residents across the city. Some scholars argue that such planning indicates centralized governance and advanced civil engineering. Yet the sheer scale of the infrastructure continues to invite questions. How did a civilization, thousands of years before the rise of Mesopotamian or Egyptian empires, achieve such uniformity and sophistication in urban design? Among the ruins, the most famous and enigmatic structure is the Great Bath, a large sunken pool lined with finely fitted bricks and waterproofed with bitumen. It is unlike anything else discovered in contemporaneous cities and appears to have been designed for ritualistic or communal use. Water would have been a powerful symbol here, yet its precise function remains elusive. Was it a ceremonial center, a place for purification, or even a reflection of cosmological beliefs? The meticulous craftsmanship suggests a culture with both resources and a profound understanding of water, yet without written records, we can only speculate about the meanings imbued in this architecture. Even more puzzling is the apparent uniformity across the Indus Valley. Cities like Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and Dholavira share similar layouts, brick sizes, and urban planning principles across hundreds of kilometers. How was such standardization achieved without the use of currency, stamps, or formalized blueprints as we understand them today? The level of coordination required implies a network of communication, governance, and knowledge that challenges our assumptions about prehistoric civilizations. And yet, despite this remarkable sophistication, the script of the Indus Valley people remains undeciphered. Hundreds of inscriptions have been found, often on small seals or pottery, yet their meaning eludes modern scholars. Could these symbols encode administrative records, religious practices, or knowledge we are not yet equipped to interpret? The very scale of Mohenjo-Daro also raises questions about labor and logistics. Massive bricks, sometimes weighing over 20 kilograms, were moved, fired, and arranged with striking precision. Streets were elevated slightly above surrounding land to prevent flooding, and some structures appear designed to withstand seismic activity. All this points to a society deeply attuned to its environment, capable of managing resources, labor, and technical knowledge at a level previously thought improbable for its time. How were such projects organized, and what knowledge of engineering and materials did they possess that has since been lost? Speculative theories have emerged to address the unanswered questions Mohenjo-Daro presents. Some propose that its sophistication suggests influences or knowledge shared across distant civilizations, though no direct evidence supports such contacts. Others note that the sudden decline and eventual abandonment of the city around 1900 BCE remains largely unexplained. Was it climate change, river course shifts, invasion, or disease that led to the fall of this advanced urban center? Or does the city's disappearance hint at factors that remain entirely hidden from our historical lens? Standing today amid the weathered bricks and eroded streets, one cannot help but feel a sense of reverence for the ingenuity and ambition of Mohenjo-Daro's inhabitants. The silence of the ruins contrasts sharply with the bustling life that must have once filled them. Markets alive with trade, homes echoing with daily life, and the Great Bath reflecting ceremonial or communal gatherings. Every stone seems deliberately placed, every street carefully measured. Yet the city's soul remains just out of reach. As we leave the plains of the Indus behind, a lingering question persists. What knowledge, innovations, and cultural practices remain hidden beneath the sands of Mohenjo-Daro? What truths about human capability, organization, and ingenuity have vanished with the city, leaving only fragments for us to reconstruct? The more we uncover, the more the city challenges our understanding of prehistoric urban life, standing as a testament to a civilization whose brilliance still echoes silently across millennia, inviting us to continue searching, questioning, and imagining the world it once commanded. From the sprawling streets of Mohenjo-Daro, a city that once thrived with an astonishing mastery of urban planning, our journey now leads us westward to the rugged plains of southwestern Iran. Here rises Chogha Zanbil, one of the few surviving ziggurats from the ancient Elamite civilization, a monument that commands both awe and curiosity. Unlike the rounded hills of Japan's Kofun or the sprawling urban grids of the Indus Valley, Chogha Zanbil presents a striking geometric form, a massive, multi-tiered pyramid of sun-dried and baked bricks, its terraces rising in precise succession toward the sky. The structure dominates the arid landscape, its ochre surface catching the sun and casting long shadows across the surrounding plains, an enduring testament to human ambition and devotion. Constructed around 1250 BCE under the reign of King Untash-Napirisha, Chogha Zanbil was intended as a religious center, a place to honor the gods of Elam. Its very name, meaning Basket Hill, belies its monumental scale. At its peak, it would have towered more than 50 meters above the surrounding landscape, accessible only by a series of steep stairways and ramps. Archaeological surveys reveal not only the ziggurat itself, but also a complex of surrounding temples, fortifications, and ceremonial structures, all laid out with a meticulous precision that suggests both spiritual purpose and technical mastery. How, scholars ask, did the Elamites achieve such architectural feats in a time and place lacking modern tools, cranes, or standardized construction methods? The construction techniques of Chogha Zanbil are remarkable. The core was built from sun-baked mud bricks, while the outer layers were reinforced with fired bricks, many stamped with inscriptions bearing the king's name. These inscriptions serve both as markers of ownership and as symbolic acts of devotion, yet they also hint at a society capable of sophisticated administration and resource management. The sheer logistics of sourcing, transporting, and shaping tens of thousands of bricks in a desert environment are staggering. How was such a coordinated effort organized, and how did the builders maintain structural stability as the terraces rose ever higher? The ziggurat's purpose extends beyond simple religious devotion. Some scholars suggest that its alignment may have held astronomical significance, with certain features corresponding to solstices or other celestial events. Was Chogha Zanbil a temple in the conventional sense, or also a kind of cosmic observatory, a terrestrial reflection of the heavens? Inside, the corridors, chambers, and sanctuaries reveal careful planning, yet large portions remain unexcavated or poorly understood. The interplay between practical engineering and spiritual symbolism is palpable, inviting questions about the relationship between belief, power, and human capability in ancient societies. Chogha Zanbil is particularly enigmatic when viewed in the context of other Elamite sites. It was abandoned relatively quickly, less than 2 centuries after its construction, yet it remains one of the most impressive monuments of its era. Why was such an ambitious project left incomplete and eventually forsaken? Some suggest political upheaval, invasions, or economic constraints may have played a role, but the abruptness of its desertion leaves room for speculation. Did the site's builders perceive some unforeseen warning, or was its abandonment simply a consequence of forces beyond their control? Even more puzzling are the ziggurat's architectural details. The precise layering of bricks, the incorporation of stairways, ramps, and terraces, and the integration of temples and fortifications into a cohesive whole point to advanced knowledge of geometry, weight distribution, and spatial planning. Could this knowledge have been passed down orally through generations of skilled artisans, or does it suggest a level of collective ingenuity that modern understanding still struggles to grasp? In a region where monumental stone architecture was uncommon, the Ziggurat stands out as a rare achievement, raising questions about what inspired such ambition and what techniques may have been lost with time. Walking among the remains of Chogha Zanbil today, one senses both the scale of human effort and the depth of mystery that surrounds it. The terraces, eroded yet enduring, invite contemplation of the hands that shaped them, the rituals that took place within, and the visions of power and devotion that guided their construction. Wind whispers across the desert, carrying with it a sense of silence and endurance, as if the monument itself is both a witness and a message to generations yet to come. As we leave the ochre terraces of Chogha Zanbil behind, one question lingers in the mind. What deeper purposes, beliefs, or knowledge were encoded in this extraordinary structure, waiting for discovery? What secrets of organization, engineering, and spiritual vision might still lie hidden beneath layers of time and sand? The Ziggurat endures as a silent sentinel of a civilization whose ambitions reached far beyond the practical, a reminder that prehistoric ingenuity often straddled the boundary between the possible and the mysterious, leaving echoes that continue to intrigue and challenge us today. From the ochre terraces of Chogha Zanbil, a monument of devotion and engineering, our journey now leads northwest, across the rugged landscapes of Anatolia, to the ancient city of Hattusa. Here, nestled among rolling hills and limestone ridges, stands one of the most striking entrances to the ancient world, the Hittite Lion Gate. Its massive stone archway, flanked by two formidable lion sculptures, rises with a silent, almost menacing authority, guarding the secrets of a civilization that reached its height more than 3 millennia ago. Even in ruins, the gate commands attention. The lions, carved in dynamic poses, appear ready to spring into action, their carved muscles and expressive faces conveying both power and vigilance. Hattusa, the capital of the Hittite Empire, flourished during the 17th to 12th centuries BCE, a time when Anatolia was a crossroads of trade, conflict, and cultural exchange. The Lion Gate, one of the city's primary entrances, was not merely decorative. It served as a statement of power, a warning to all who approached that the city was protected by both walls and symbolic guardians. The lions themselves, carved from massive blocks of limestone, reflect a level of skill and artistic sensibility that continues to impress modern scholars. Yet, questions linger. How were these enormous stones quarried, transported, and positioned with such precision, long before the invention of modern machinery? The design of the gate is purposeful in more ways than one. The lions are positioned in a confrontational stance, their bodies facing outward, as if challenging intruders, yet their heads slightly turned toward the city. Some scholars suggest this posture symbolizes both protection and surveillance, a duality of intimidation and vigilance. The archway between them, constructed from perfectly fitted stones, creates a passage that has endured centuries of weathering and occasional seismic activity. How did the Hittites achieve such architectural stability with techniques that seem primitive by today's standards? The questions are as compelling as the structure itself. Beyond its physical construction, the Lion Gate may hold deeper symbolic significance. Lions, though not native to Anatolia in large numbers, appear repeatedly in Hittite art and architecture, often associated with kingship, divine authority, and protection. Could the gate have been designed not merely as a defensive measure but as a ritual threshold, a space where the human and divine intersect? Some theorists propose that the positioning and scale of the lions reflect astronomical or cosmological considerations, suggesting that the Hittites encoded knowledge of the heavens in their urban planning and monumental art. While such claims are speculative, the precision and intentionality of the work invite reflection on the interplay between art, power, and knowledge in ancient civilizations. The Lion Gate also raises practical and logistical questions. The stones used in the lions themselves weigh several tons each, and the site is located on uneven terrain. Transporting, carving, and assembling these monolithic blocks would have required immense coordination, skill, and labor. What methods did the Hittites use to achieve such feats, and how much of their knowledge has been lost over millennia? Unlike some other civilizations whose monumental structures have been extensively documented, the Hittites left relatively few written records describing their construction techniques. Much of what we know comes from inscriptions, treaties, and fragments of tablets, leaving the technical and artistic mastery of the Lion Gate largely to our imagination. Even today, visitors approaching the Lion Gate can sense the deliberate majesty intended by its builders. The scale is imposing, yet the detail is intimate. The fur of the lions, the tension in their limbs, the expressive faces that seem almost alive under the shifting Anatolian sun. One can almost hear the imagined echoes of the city's bustling streets, the voices of craftsmen, soldiers, and priests who walked beneath this threshold thousands of years ago. It is a monument that speaks not only of power, but also of careful thought, artistry, and human ambition. The desire to create something enduring, something that conveys a message across the centuries. Speculative interpretations linger alongside scholarly explanations. Some wonder whether the gate's proportions and symbolic elements might have encoded additional knowledge, perhaps related to measurements, geometry, or even spiritual practices. Could the Hittites have employed a system of design principles now lost to time? A combination of practical engineering and esoteric understanding? The answers remain elusive, but the questions themselves deepen our appreciation for the monument, inviting us to ponder the sophistication of a civilization whose achievements continue to defy simple explanation. As we step back from the stone lions and pass through the threshold they once guarded, one question resonates. What other secrets of Hattusa and its monumental gates remain buried beneath the layers of history? How much of the Hittites' ingenuity, their symbolic language, and their technical mastery remains hidden, waiting for discovery? The Lion Gate endures not just as a relic of power, but as an enduring puzzle, a testament to a civilization whose vision reached far beyond its time, leaving echoes that continue to inspire awe and curiosity in the present. From the stone lions guarding the thresholds of Hattusa, we travel across continents once more, to the arid coastal plains of Peru, where one of the earliest known cities in the Americas rises quietly from the desert. Caral, the heart of the ancient Norte Chico civilization, stretches along the Supe Valley, its monumental pyramids and plazas revealing a society that flourished more than 4,500 years ago. The city's structures, built from sun-dried adobe bricks, emerge from the golden sands like ghosts of a distant past, their smooth surfaces and geometric precision conveying an unexpected sense of order and intentionality. Even now, Caral's pyramids tower above the flat landscape, silent witnesses to a civilization that predates the famed Incas by millennia. Archaeologists have marveled at the scale and sophistication of Caral. The city includes 6 large pyramids, each with terraces and stairways, ceremonial plazas and residential complexes arranged in an organized layout that reflects careful urban planning. Remarkably, this civilization built monumental architecture without the use of ceramics or metal tools, relying instead on stone, wood, and human labor. How, we wonder, did these early builders conceive and execute such ambitious projects in an environment that posed constant challenges from heat, sand, and scarce water resources? Caral raises profound questions about the capacity of prehistoric societies to organize, engineer, and sustain urban life at a level previously thought impossible. Water management, in particular, hints at extraordinary foresight. Canals and irrigation systems transported limited fresh water to agricultural terraces, supporting the cultivation of cotton, squash, and beans that sustained the city's population. These innovations allowed Caral not only to thrive in the arid Soup Valley, but also to produce surplus resources that likely fueled social complexity and monumental construction. The integration of practical engineering with ceremonial spaces, pyramids, plazas, and sunken courts, suggests a society where civic, spiritual, and environmental knowledge were intertwined. Yet, without written records, the purposes of these spaces remain tantalizingly elusive. Were the plazas purely for communal gatherings, or did they serve ritualistic functions tied to astronomical cycles or spiritual beliefs? Caral's architecture also hints at advanced knowledge of proportion and aesthetics. The largest pyramid, sometimes called the Pyramid of the Sun, dominates the cityscape with terraces rising in precise layers, creating both visual harmony and structural stability. Stairways ascend each level with a deliberate rhythm, guiding movement in a way that may have reinforced ritual or ceremonial experiences. Some researchers note potential alignments with solstices and other celestial events, suggesting that astronomy may have informed the city's layout. Could Caral represent an early example of a civilization seeking to harmonize earthly spaces with the movements of the heavens? Beyond its impressive architecture, Caral offers insight into the social and cultural sophistication of its people. Musical instruments, including flutes made of bone, have been unearthed, implying the role of music in ceremonial or civic life. Large plazas could have hosted gatherings, performances, or rituals designed to unify the community and reinforce social hierarchies. Remarkably, there is little evidence of warfare or fortifications, suggesting a society that achieved monumental feats through cooperation rather than conquest. This peaceful, organized construction of urban centers challenges conventional assumptions about the rise of complex societies. Speculative interpretations deepen the sense of mystery surrounding Caral. Some suggest that the city's layout and pyramids were designed with esoteric or cosmological knowledge in mind, encoding principles of harmony, proportion, or celestial observation. Others wonder whether the sophistication of construction, achieved without metal tools, indicates a body of knowledge about materials, engineering, and organization that has since vanished. What methods allowed these people to move tons of adobe and shape it into enduring forms? How did they coordinate labor across generations, ensuring that monumental projects were completed with such precision and scale? Walking among Caral's sun-bleached pyramids and terraces, one senses the echoes of a civilization that once pulsed with life. The flat plazas, the carefully shaped pyramids, and the terraces rising above the desert convey both human ingenuity and deliberate vision. The city speaks not only of survival, but of an ambition to shape space, society, and perhaps even the cosmos itself. As the wind stirs the sand across the plazas, the silence feels profound, a reminder that we are only beginning to grasp the extent of Caral's achievements. As we leave the Soup Valley behind, one question lingers. What further secrets lie buried beneath the sands of Caral? What knowledge, practices, or beliefs remain hidden, encoded in the architecture, the canals, or the silent pyramids, waiting for discovery? The city endures as a testament to human ingenuity and imagination, a prehistoric megastructure that challenges our understanding of what early civilizations were capable of achieving, inviting us to ponder not just how they built, but why they dared to build on such an extraordinary scale. From the sun-baked pyramids of Caral, a city that rose with astonishing precision along the Peruvian coast, our journey now leads us across continents and oceans to the misty highlands of northern Laos. Here, on rolling plateaus punctuated by limestone outcrops and dense forest, lies one of the most enigmatic landscapes of Southeast Asia, the Plain of Jars. Spread across hundreds of square kilometers, this region is scattered with thousands of enormous stone jars, some standing over 3 meters tall and weighing several tons, their surfaces weathered by centuries of wind, rain, and the passage of time. From a distance, the jars appear as silent sentinels, dotting the mist-shrouded landscape like scattered relics of a lost civilization, their true purpose veiled in mystery. Archaeologists believe the jars were constructed during the Iron Age, roughly between 500 BCE and 500 CE, yet much about them remains unresolved. Crafted from sandstone, granite, and conglomerate rock, the jars were carved with remarkable precision, hollowed out from single blocks and transported across uneven terrain, an extraordinary feat given their size and weight. Some jars bear subtle carvings or motifs, while others remain completely undecorated, leaving scholars to wonder whether these differences signify function, status, or perhaps chronology. How did the people of this region quarry and move such massive stones without metal machinery? And what knowledge of logistics, engineering, or communal organization allowed for such an undertaking? The true purpose of the jars remains the subject of debate and fascination. Excavations of surrounding sites suggest that they may have been used as funerary urns, as skeletal remains and burial goods have occasionally been found in association with them. Yet the sheer scale and number of jars, often placed in open fields far from settlement areas, raises questions. Were these jars simple receptacles for the dead, or did they serve a more complex ceremonial, spiritual, or symbolic function? Some researchers speculate that the arrangement of jars, sometimes in circular clusters, sometimes aligned along natural features, may have reflected social hierarchy, cosmological observation, or ritual processions, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of space and landscape. Adding to the mystery is the jar's diversity. While most are cylindrical, some taper at the base, others flare outward, and a few bear evidence of secondary modification, including hollowed lids or channels carved into their bodies. Could these variations reflect regional practices, chronological developments, or entirely lost ritual meanings? Scholars remain cautious, noting that the Plain of Jars has been disturbed over centuries, not only by human activity, but also by the devastating effects of modern warfare, including unexploded ordnance that has rendered many sites inaccessible. This makes the task of fully understanding the landscape all the more challenging, and all the more intriguing. The logistical challenges of constructing the jars are as compelling as their purpose. Transporting multi-ton stones from quarries to their current locations over rough terrain would have required immense coordination, ingenuity, and labor. How were these blocks moved, rolled, dragged, or floated along waterways? Could there have been simple mechanical techniques lost to history, or was it sheer human determination that overcame the constraints of the landscape? The very act of creation implies not only technical skill, but also social cohesion, suggesting that the communities responsible were organized in ways we are only beginning to imagine. Speculative interpretations deepen the sense of mystery. Some fringe theories suggest astronomical or geomantic significance, proposing that the jar's placement aligns with celestial events or local energy patterns. Others imagine them as storage vessels for ritual substances, communal feasts, or even sacred water. While evidence remains limited, the questions themselves reflect the sense of awe these structures inspire. Unlike more conventional monuments, the Plain of Jars offers no inscriptions, no definitive records, only the silent, enduring presence of stone, weathered yet resilient, inviting observers to puzzle over their origins. Visiting the plain today, one cannot escape the feeling of connection across time. Walking among the jars, Their monumental scale and austere beauty evoke a quiet reverence. The mist drifts across the plateaus, sunlight glinting on carved edges, and the wind whispers through the surrounding grasses as if carrying fragments of ceremonies long past. Each jar feels purposeful, deliberate, and yet incompletely understood, a dialogue between human hands and the passage of centuries. As we leave the highlands of Laos behind, the mind lingers on the questions that remain unanswered. Who exactly carved these immense stones, and why were they positioned with such care across these remote plateaus? What knowledge, ritual, or belief system has been lost, leaving only these silent monoliths as a testament to human ambition? The Plain of Jars endures as a puzzle, a prehistoric megastructure not of buildings or walls, but of stone vessels scattered across the land, an enduring mystery that continues to challenge our understanding of what ancient civilizations were capable of creating, and what truths still lie hidden, waiting to be discovered. From the mist-shrouded plateaus of Laos, where massive stone jars stand as silent witnesses to lost civilizations, our journey now turns to the rolling hills of the Golan Heights in modern-day Israel and Palestine. Here lies Rujm el-Hiri, an enigmatic prehistoric monument that stretches across the basalt fields like a cosmic pattern etched into the earth. Known locally as the Stone Circle of the Chief, or Gilgal Rephaim, the site consists of concentric rings of carefully stacked basalt stones, centered around a prominent cairn that rises from the middle. Viewed from above, the circular arrangement reveals a meticulous geometric precision, suggesting that those who built it were guided by both vision and intention far beyond mere construction. Rujm el-Hiri is estimated to date back to the early Bronze Age, around 3000 to 2500 BCE, yet its purpose remains shrouded in mystery. The site covers nearly 117 meters in diameter, with outer walls composed of massive uncut basalt stones arranged in rings, radiating toward a central tumulus. Archaeologists have found no inscriptions or artifacts that definitively explain the monument's function, though occasional excavations have uncovered stone-lined passages and chambers within the central cairn. Was this a ceremonial center, a burial site, or perhaps an astronomical observatory? The absence of definitive evidence invites both careful scholarship and imaginative inquiry, compelling us to consider the possibilities embedded in its stones. The construction itself is remarkable. Each basalt boulder, some weighing several tons, was transported from nearby volcanic fields, then stacked with a precision that has allowed the concentric rings to endure millennia of weathering and seismic activity. How did a prehistoric people move these stones over uneven terrain and align them so meticulously without the tools, machinery, or standardized measurement systems we take for granted today? The sheer logistics of construction suggest a high degree of social organization, communal labor, and perhaps a shared spiritual or cultural motivation strong enough to mobilize such effort. Rujm el-Hiri's design hints at symbolism that extends beyond its physical form. The concentric circles may have represented cosmological ideas, the cyclical nature of time, or a sacred microcosm connecting the earth to the heavens. Some researchers speculate that the alignment of the cairn with celestial events, such as solstices, could indicate astronomical knowledge encoded into the monument itself. If so, it would suggest that the builders understood patterns of the sun, moon, or stars with remarkable precision, an extraordinary feat for a society so early in human history. Could this monument have served as a calendar, a ritual space, or even a center of initiation for the elite of the time? Adding to the intrigue is the scarcity of contemporaneous settlements in the immediate vicinity. Rujm el-Hiri appears to have been intentionally isolated, set upon a basalt plateau overlooking the surrounding landscape. This isolation might have enhanced its sacred or ceremonial significance, providing a vantage point from which to observe the cycles of the natural world. The monumental scale and deliberate design indicate that this was not the work of a small, transient group, but rather a coordinated effort sustained over generations. What beliefs, rituals, or social structures motivated such sustained labor and precision? Speculative theories abound, fueled by the monument's enigmatic nature. Some propose that Rujm el-Hiri was a burial complex for chieftains or spiritual leaders, given the central cairn and stone-lined chambers. Others suggest it may have served as a site for ritual astronomy, or even as a symbolic representation of a cosmological map. Fringe ideas extend to the notion of an advanced, forgotten knowledge, mathematical, astronomical, or metaphysical, encoded in the layout of the rings. While such claims remain unverified, the very fact that they arise underscores the profound impression the monument leaves on those who study it. Walking among the rings of basalt today, one senses a palpable stillness, a weight of time that seems almost alive. The stones, blackened by centuries of weathering, form shadows that shift with the rising and setting sun, subtly emphasizing the geometry embedded within the landscape. Every cairn, every concentric wall seems purposeful, yet its precise function remains tantalizingly out of reach. The silence of the site, punctuated only by the wind across the plateau, creates an atmosphere in which the imagination naturally seeks to reconstruct the lives, intentions, and knowledge of those who arranged these stones. As we leave Rujm el-Hiri, a question lingers in the mind. What knowledge, beliefs, or rituals have been lost to time, leaving only this geometric enigma behind? How much of human ingenuity, organization, and cosmic understanding is hidden within the concentric rings, waiting for discovery or interpretation? Rujm el-Hiri endures not merely as a prehistoric monument, but as a testament to the ambition, vision, and mystery of a civilization long vanished, reminding us that some of the greatest human achievements were conceived not only to endure, but to inspire wonder across millennia. From the basalt rings of Rujm el-Hiri, where concentric stones whisper of vanished rituals and lost astronomical knowledge, our journey now turns westward across the Mediterranean to the small archipelago of Malta. Nestled on the rolling countryside of this island nation lies one of the earliest and most enigmatic temple complexes in the world, the Skorba temples. Here, amid terraced fields and low limestone outcrops, stand the remains of monumental structures that predate even the pyramids of Egypt, their carefully constructed megaliths offering a glimpse into the spiritual and architectural sophistication of prehistoric Malta. The stones rise in gentle arcs and chambers, weathered to soft ochres and grays, yet still radiating a deliberate precision that suggests ritual, purpose, and vision. Skorba, built in phases beginning around 3600 BCE, represents one of the earliest examples of a permanent temple complex in the Mediterranean. Archaeologists have identified multiple layers of construction, with older structures partially buried beneath later additions, creating a palimpsest of human activity spanning centuries. The temples were constructed using massive blocks of local limestone, some weighing several tons, carefully shaped and placed to form chambers, apses, and passageways. The layout suggests intentionality. A central axis leads visitors through a series of interconnected rooms, culminating in circular or semicircular spaces that may have served ceremonial purposes. How did a prehistoric society, lacking metal tools or advanced machinery, manage to quarry, transport, and position these megaliths with such precision and enduring stability? The function of the Skorba temples is both tantalizing and elusive. Excavations have uncovered altars, hearths, and ritual objects, including small figurines that hint at fertility cults or ancestor veneration. Animal bones and fragments of pottery suggest ceremonial feasting, while carefully placed stone benches and recesses may have accommodated priests or participants during ritual events. Yet much remains unknown. What were the specific rites performed here, and how did they shape the social and spiritual life of the community? Unlike later civilizations, the builders left no written records, forcing modern observers to piece together meaning from stone, soil, and careful spatial analysis. Skorba's architectural sophistication is striking. The megaliths are not only arranged with geometric regularity, but also oriented in ways that suggest an awareness of celestial events. Some scholars propose alignments with the rising sun during solstices, hinting at a prehistoric understanding of solar cycles and a desire to synchronize sacred space with cosmic rhythms. Could these alignments indicate that the temples were conceived as both ceremonial centers and astronomical observatories? If so, they reflect a remarkable integration of observation, belief, and construction, a sophisticated vision of the world expressed in stone. The scale of labor required to build Skorba adds another layer of intrigue. Massive blocks were extracted from local quarries, transported across uneven terrain, and carefully assembled, likely through communal effort and sophisticated understanding of leverage and weight distribution. What social structures allowed this level of cooperation and organization? How did these early Maltese communities coordinate multi-generational projects that combined engineering, ritual, and artistic expression? The temples themselves, standing through millennia of weathering, speak to both practical knowledge and an enduring human desire to leave a lasting mark on the landscape. Speculative interpretations extend beyond practical and ceremonial functions. Some researchers propose that the Skorba temples may have encoded symbolic or cosmological knowledge in their layout, a spatial language now lost to history. Could the circular chambers represent cycles of life, death, and rebirth? Did the sequence of rooms guide participants through a symbolic journey, reflecting a worldview that connected the earthly and the divine? While such ideas remain conjectural, they underscore the depth of mystery inherent in these prehistoric megastructures. Walking among the surviving stones of Skorba today, one senses both intimacy and grandeur. The chambers, though small by modern standards, convey a sense of deliberate proportion, guiding movement and attention through ritualized pathways. Light filters through gaps and openings, casting shifting patterns across stone surfaces, as if animating the space in a quiet, contemplative rhythm. The silence of the fields is punctuated only by the wind and the occasional call of a bird, creating an atmosphere where imagination naturally fills in the gaps left by the centuries. As we leave the Skorba temples behind, one question lingers. What beliefs, practices, and knowledge remain hidden within these stones, waiting for discovery or understanding? How much of the prehistoric Maltese vision of life, death, and the cosmos has been lost, leaving only these megalithic structures as evidence of a civilization whose ingenuity and spiritual ambition rivaled that of societies far larger and better documented? Skorba endures not merely as a monument of stone, but as a testament to human curiosity, devotion, and the eternal drive to shape the world with intention, an enduring enigma that continues to inspire wonder and reflection across the millennia. From the sun-baked limestone of Malta, where the Skorba temples rise as silent witnesses to prehistoric devotion and ingenuity, our journey now leads us across the western Mediterranean to the rolling plains of Andalusia in southern Spain. Here, amid olive groves and gently undulating hills, lies the Dolmen de Soto, an extraordinary megalithic tomb whose solemn presence has endured for over 5 millennia. Part of the broader megalithic landscape of Huelva, the Dolmen stands as both a monument to human ritual and a puzzle that continues to intrigue archaeologists, historians, and curious travelers alike. The long, narrow passage, lined with massive standing stones, leads to a circular burial chamber capped with an enormous capstone, perfectly balanced despite its immense weight. Even in ruin, the structure conveys an undeniable sense of purpose and precision. Dolmen de Soto was constructed during the Copper Age, around 3000 to 2500 BCE, a period when prehistoric communities across Iberia were beginning to organize themselves into complex social networks capable of sustaining monumental construction. The passage grave, stretching over 20 meters in length, is oriented with remarkable precision toward the sunrise on the winter solstice. For a society without written records or advanced astronomical instruments, this alignment raises profound questions. How did these early builders observe and calculate celestial movements with such accuracy? Was the solstice alignment merely symbolic, or did it play a central role in ceremonies marking the cycles of life, death, and renewal? The tomb itself is a marvel of engineering. Massive megaliths, some weighing several tons, were transported from distant quarries and arranged with extraordinary care. The long corridor, flanked by upright stones, channels light into the burial chamber during the solstice, illuminating the interior with an almost theatrical effect. Such design demonstrates not only technical skill, but a profound understanding of spatial perception, geometry, and the interplay between natural light and constructed form. Could these communities have developed methods of surveying and measurement that rival the knowledge of later civilizations, preserved only in the stones themselves? Inside the burial chamber, excavations have revealed human remains, along with a variety of grave goods, pottery, flint tools, and ornamental objects carved from bone and stone. These artifacts provide tantalizing hints about the people who built and used the dolmen, their rituals, and their social structure. Yet much remains unknown. How were individuals chosen for interment within these monumental tombs? Were they leaders, shamans, or individuals of particular spiritual significance? And what did the sequence of burials, spanning generations, signify in the broader cosmology of these prehistoric communities? Dolmen de Soto's architecture suggests more than a simple function as a tomb. The combination of precise orientation, massive stone construction, and internal organization implies that it was a ceremonial space, perhaps designed to connect the living with the dead, the earth with the cosmos. Some researchers speculate that the corridor itself, as a transitional space, was used in initiation rites or seasonal rituals, allowing participants to symbolically journey from the world of the living to that of the ancestors. The thoughtfulness of the design raises questions about the interplay of spirituality, social cohesion, and technical knowledge in these early societies. The scale and coordination required to build Dolmen de Soto further emphasize the sophistication of its creators. Moving stones of such size, arranging them with geometric precision, and constructing a passage aligned to celestial events would have required careful planning, communal labor, and an intimate understanding of the landscape. How was knowledge transmitted across generations to maintain the continuity of such monumental projects? Could the builders have relied on oral traditions, apprenticeship systems, or perhaps ritualized forms of knowledge that embedded practical and spiritual information into communal memory? Speculative interpretations have grown alongside archaeological study. Some propose that Dolmen de Soto and other passage graves formed part of an extensive network of ceremonial sites across Iberia, aligned with solstices, rivers, or sacred landmarks, suggesting a level of prehistorical coordination and understanding that challenges conventional views of Copper Age societies. Others consider symbolic meanings encoded in the stones themselves, patterns, ratios, and alignments that may have served as mnemonic devices or ceremonial guides. While such hypotheses remain unproven, they underscore the enduring enigma of the dolmen and the sense that prehistoric builders possessed knowledge that modern scholars can only begin to grasp. Visiting Dolmen de Soto today, one is struck by the tactile presence of the stones. The corridor, worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain, guides the gaze inward toward the chamber, where the massive capstone seems impossibly balanced, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Light filters through the entrance in carefully choreographed patterns, shifting with the seasons, offering moments of awe that connect the observer with rhythms of the natural world, recognized by the builders millennia ago. There is a solemnity here that transcends time, a quiet reminder that these stones were more than monuments. They were vessels of memory, ritual, and human aspiration. As we leave the dolmen and look out over the surrounding Andalusian plains, one question lingers. What other secrets remain buried within the stones, beneath the soil, or encoded in the alignment of the passage? How much of the knowledge, social organization, and spiritual life of these early builders has been lost, leaving only the silent, enduring presence of Dolmen de Soto as a testament to human ingenuity? The monument endures not merely as a burial site, but as a prehistoric megastructure that continues to inspire reflection, wonder, and profound curiosity about what civilizations long vanished were capable of imagining and creating. From the sun-warmed stones of Andalusia, where Dolmen de Soto stands as a testament to prehistoric ritual and architectural vision, our journey now turns southward across the Atlantic and deep into the Andes of Peru. Perched high above the city of Cusco, at over 3,700 meters above sea level, lies Sacsayhuamán, an extraordinary fortress whose massive walls defy both gravity and imagination. Here, colossal stones, some weighing over 200 tons, interlock with an astonishing precision, their irregular shapes fitting together like pieces of a cosmic puzzle. The sheer scale and craftsmanship of Sacsayhuamán make it one of the most remarkable examples of megalithic construction anywhere in the world, a prehistoric megastructure that continues to challenge our understanding of human ingenuity. Sacsayhuamán, built by the Incas and their predecessors, dominates the landscape with a jagged serpentine silhouette that stretches for hundreds of meters along the ridge. From below, the fortress appears almost impossibly massive, a labyrinth of terraces, walls, and terraces rising in tiers toward the sky. The stones themselves are finely dressed and carefully placed, with no mortar holding them together. Yet the walls have endured centuries of earthquakes, their interlocking surfaces absorbing seismic shocks in a way that modern engineering still finds extraordinary. How did the builders cut, transport, and maneuver such enormous stones across the rugged Andean terrain? What methods or technologies allowed for the near-perfect alignment and interconnection that make these walls so remarkably stable? The precision of Sacsayhuamán is perhaps most striking when viewed up close. Stones of varying shapes and sizes are arranged with a meticulous attention to detail, filling gaps with smaller stones to create a seamless fit. Some blocks bear perfectly flattened surfaces, while others curve to accommodate the contours of neighboring stones. The engineering here suggests not only technical mastery, but a profound understanding of structural dynamics, materials, and forces, knowledge that seems almost inconceivable for the time. Could the builders have possessed methods of surveying and measurement that rival modern standards, now lost to history? Beyond the technical achievement, Sacsayhuamán carries a deep symbolic and ceremonial significance. The fortress was not solely a military installation. It served as a center for rituals, assemblies, and political gatherings. Some scholars suggest that the terraces and zigzagging walls were designed to represent the contours of a puma, a sacred animal in Incan cosmology, linking the city of Cusco below with spiritual symbolism. Could this integration of functionality, artistry, and spirituality reflect a worldview in which architecture was not merely practical, but deeply embedded with cultural and cosmic meaning? The site invites speculation about the ways in which physical construction, political power, and spiritual expression were intertwined in Incan society. The logistics of construction remain staggering. Many of the largest stones were quarried from sites several kilometers away and transported without the aid of wheeled vehicles or draft animals. How were they moved over steep inclines and rugged mountain paths? Some theories suggest a combination of human labor, ropes, wooden sledges, and careful planning, yet no definitive evidence explains the full process. The wall's longevity, surviving centuries of erosion, seismic activity, and even conquest, testifies to the extraordinary foresight and skill of their creators. The more we examine Sacsayhuamán, the more the boundaries between engineering, artistry, and mystery seem to blur. Speculative interpretations abound. Some researchers propose that the fortress's orientation and design encode astronomical or calendrical knowledge, while others suggest that the precise fitting of stones could reflect esoteric principles passed down through generations of builders. Others still ponder whether there are hidden chambers or tunnels yet to be discovered within the massive walls, spaces that might reveal additional functions or ceremonial uses long forgotten. While such ideas remain conjectural, they underscore the enduring sense of awe and curiosity that Sacsayhuamán evokes. Standing among the terraces and colossal stones today, one is struck by the tactile presence of human ambition, ingenuity, and vision. The walls rise as silent witnesses, casting long shadows across the Andean landscape, framing views of Cusco below and distant mountains beyond. Light plays across the irregular surfaces, emphasizing both the scale of individual stones and the precision of their assembly. There is a quiet majesty here, a sense that every stone was deliberately chosen, every surface carefully worked, and every placement imbued with intent. The experience of walking these terraces is to step into a dialogue with the past, to feel the lingering presence of the countless hands, minds, and hearts that shaped the fortress. As we leave Sacsayhuamán and descend toward the city below, one question lingers. How much knowledge, skill, and organization has been lost to time, leaving only the walls themselves as testimony? What secrets of engineering, ritual, and cosmology remain hidden within the colossal stones, encoded in ways that still elude modern understanding? Sacsayhuamán endures not only as a fortress or a monument, but as a prehistoric megastructure that challenges assumptions about the limits of human capability. It reminds us that ancient civilizations, driven by vision, devotion, and ambition, were capable of feats that continue to inspire wonder and demand reflection, millennia after their creation. From the colossal terraces of Sacsayhuamán, where stones interlock with an almost supernatural precision, our journey now turns northward across continents and deserts to the timeless banks of the Nile in Egypt. Here, near the ancient city of Abydos, lies the Osireion, a subterranean monument whose massive stone blocks and enigmatic layout have puzzled scholars for over a century. Partially hidden behind the temple of Seti I, the Osireion appears at first as a simple substructure, yet closer inspection reveals a labyrinth of enormous megaliths, water-filled chambers, and an architectural design that seems to diverge from conventional Egyptian construction. Its silence is profound, the stillness of the subterranean corridors magnifying the sense that this is a space built not merely for function, but for a purpose we have yet to fully comprehend. The Osireion is striking for its sheer scale and unusual design. Unlike typical Egyptian tombs or temples, it is largely subterranean, excavated into the bedrock and surrounded by massive granite blocks, some weighing upwards of 50 tons. A long central hall, flanked by massive pillars and surrounded by water channels, creates an atmosphere of both awe and introspection. Scholars have debated its age, with some suggesting it predates Seti I by centuries, if not millennia, implying the existence of a sophisticated, possibly lost phase of Egyptian architecture. How could a civilization so long ago manipulate stones of such immense size with such precision, And why choose to bury this construction deep underground, hidden from view? The monument's relationship with water is one of its most mysterious aspects. The central hall is often partially flooded, and the Osireion's builders appear to have engineered channels and drainage systems to control this water with precision. Some theorists propose that the structure was intended to emulate the primordial waters of creation, linking the tomb with the mythological concept of the Ogdoad and the birth of Osiris, the god to whom the Osireion is dedicated. Was this symbolic, ritualistic, or both? Could the flooding of the chambers have served a ceremonial function, connecting the earthly realm to the divine, or was it a practical consequence of the site's subterranean location? The precision of construction within the Osireion adds to its enigmatic character. Granite beams spanning tens of meters are perfectly aligned, and the walls bear a subtle smoothness and regularity that suggest an understanding of geometry and stress distribution beyond what is typically credited to New Kingdom builders. Some researchers speculate that advanced techniques, now lost, were employed to quarry, transport, and position these stones with an accuracy that modern machinery would struggle to replicate. Could this indicate that ancient Egyptian engineering knowledge was more advanced than the historical record reveals, or does it point to a more esoteric purpose, one that demanded perfection in both form and alignment? Adding to the mystery is the Osireion's isolation from other major structures at Abydos. Unlike more prominent temples, it seems deliberately secluded, accessible only through the larger Sacsayhuamán temple complex. This isolation suggests a function of secrecy, introspection, or initiation, perhaps designed for elite priests or rituals that demanded privacy. What rites might have been performed within these stone walls, beneath the watchful presence of Osiris? Could the Osireion have served as a metaphysical passage, a conduit between life, death, and the afterlife, rather than a conventional tomb? The absence of inscriptions or typical funerary markers leaves these questions unanswered, heightening the sense of awe and uncertainty. Speculative theories have flourished around the Osireion. Some propose that its massive stones and subterranean layout indicate a lost era of Egyptian civilization, predating the dynasties we know. Others suggest it served as a repository for sacred knowledge, a place of ritual initiation, or even a symbolic microcosm of the cosmos. While none of these claims can be confirmed, they underscore the monument's extraordinary capacity to inspire wonder, compelling us to consider not only what the Osireion is, but what it might have represented to those who built it. Walking through its shadowed corridors today, the monument evokes a profound sense of temporal dislocation. The cool, water-laden air, the weight of granite overhead, and the subtle echoes in the subterranean halls all contribute to an atmosphere that is both meditative and awe-inspiring. Every stone, every channel, every carefully placed pillar hints at knowledge and intention, yet the purpose of this labor remains just out of reach. The Osireion is more than a structure. It is a puzzle, a silent dialogue between past and present, a testament to human ambition, ingenuity, and devotion that continues to baffle and inspire. As we step back into the sunlit temple complex above, one question lingers. What secrets of construction, ritual, or belief are hidden within the Osireion's walls, submerged chambers, and massive stones? How much of the knowledge, symbolism, and purpose behind this extraordinary monument has been lost to time, leaving only the physical remnants to evoke awe and curiosity? The Osireion endures not only as a masterpiece of megalithic architecture, but as a prehistoric megastructure whose origins and intentions challenge our understanding of what ancient civilizations were capable of achieving, inviting us to explore, question, and wonder at the mysteries that still lie beneath the surface. From the shadowed chambers of the Osireion, where massive granite blocks hold secrets beneath the Nile, our journey now carries us across continents and oceans to the windswept high plains of Bolivia. Here, at over 3,800 meters above sea level, lies Tiwanaku, the ancient city whose monumental stones rise with a quiet authority against the stark backdrop of the Altiplano. Spread across a flat plateau near the southern shores of Lake Titicaca, Tiwanaku's ruins whisper of a civilization whose architectural achievements continue to confound scholars and captivate all who encounter them. Massive stone blocks, some weighing several tens of tons, are arranged in precise alignments and intricate patterns, their surfaces carved with symbols whose meanings remain tantalizingly elusive. Tiwanaku flourished between roughly 500 and 1000 CE, yet the scale, precision, and sophistication of its megalithic constructions suggest knowledge and capability that surpass what is typically attributed to societies of this era. The city's ceremonial core, including the Akapana Pyramid, the Kalasasya platform, and the Gate of the Sun, demonstrates an extraordinary understanding of geometry, astronomy, and engineering. Stones are precisely cut and interlocked without mortar, some shaped with such meticulous care that a single misalignment would disrupt the entire structure. How did the builders achieve such precision at such a scale, moving and fitting multi-ton stones across the uneven altiplano without the tools or technology we consider essential today? The Gateway of the Sun, one of Tiwanaku's most iconic monuments, continues to fascinate researchers. Its monolithic lintel is adorned with carved figures, possibly deities or celestial symbols, arranged in patterns that some interpret as calendrical or astronomical in function. Could these carvings represent a sophisticated understanding of celestial cycles, a method to track time, or encode spiritual knowledge now lost? The precision of the stonework implies not only technical skill but a deeply intentional design, where symbolism, ritual, and construction converge. The city's layout reinforces this sense of deliberate planning. Temples, plazas, and ritual platforms are aligned with cardinal points and perhaps with celestial or topographical features, including the surrounding mountains and Lake Titicaca itself. Was Tiwanaku designed as a cosmological map, a reflection of the heavens on Earth? Or was its orientation intended for ceremonial purposes, synchronizing human activity with the rhythms of sun, moon, and stars? The careful planning suggests a highly organized society capable of coordinating labor and knowledge over generations, yet much about its social, religious, and political structures remains unknown. The logistical challenges of Tiwanaku's construction are staggering. Quarrying massive stones, shaping them with precision, and transporting them across high-altitude terrain without wheeled vehicles or draft animals would have required ingenuity, coordination, and perhaps methods now lost to history. Did the builders use ramps, levers, and sledges, or did they rely on a more sophisticated understanding of physics and leverage? The enduring stability of these structures, many surviving centuries of weathering and seismic activity, points to a mastery of both materials and mechanics that is still difficult to fully comprehend. Speculative theories further deepen the mystery. Some researchers propose that the city's alignment, proportions, and monolithic carvings encode a form of astronomical or cosmological knowledge, a ritualized language of stone. Others suggest Tiwanaku was a pilgrimage center, its monumental architecture designed to impress, inspire, and guide spiritual practice. Fringe ideas posit the intervention of lost technologies or ancient knowledge long forgotten, though such claims remain unverified. The common thread, however, is the recognition that Tiwanaku represents more than simple architecture. It embodies human ingenuity, devotion, and an ambition that transcends conventional expectations for its era. Walking among Tiwanaku's ruins today, one is struck by the sense of scale, the precision of the stones, and the silence of the high plains. The massive blocks, their edges perfectly interlocked, seem to convey a story of intention, skill, and knowledge preserved in stone. Light and shadow shift across the carved surfaces, bringing new meaning to each intricate symbol and emphasizing the deliberate geometry of the city's design. Every terrace, every platform, every monument feels purposeful, yet its full significance remains elusive. As we step back from Tiwanaku, the questions linger. What knowledge, rituals, or capabilities of this ancient civilization remain hidden, encoded in the stones or buried beneath the plateau? How much has been lost to time, leaving only the monumental architecture to speak across centuries? Tiwanaku endures as a prehistoric megastructure, a testament to human ambition, skill, and vision, challenging our assumptions about the limits of ancient societies and inviting us to ponder the mysteries that still lie buried in its stone foundations. From the high plains of Tiwanaku, where colossal stones and meticulous alignments speak of astronomical knowledge and architectural mastery, our journey returns once more to the Mediterranean, to the small island of Malta. Beneath the quiet streets of Paola lies one of the most enigmatic subterranean monuments in human history, the hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni. Carved entirely from soft limestone, this multi-level underground complex descends 3 stories into the earth, forming a labyrinth of chambers, passageways, and silent halls that have preserved the echoes of a civilization long vanished. Its very existence, an intricate, purposeful void within the bedrock, evokes questions about the skill, intention, and beliefs of the people who built it over 5 millennia ago. The hypogeum dates to around 4000 to 2500 BCE, making it contemporaneous with Malta's other megalithic temples, yet it is unique in both function and design. Unlike the open-air temples of Skorba or Hagar-Chim, the hypogeum is a subterranean sanctuary, its chambers carefully hewn with precision that seems almost impossible given the tools available to Neolithic builders. Massive stone pillars, carved directly from the bedrock, support the ceilings, while alcoves and niches are arranged with a deliberate symmetry, creating a space that is both structural and symbolic. How did a society without metal chisels or advanced engineering achieve such precision and complexity underground? The acoustic properties of the hypogeum add another layer of mystery. Certain chambers, particularly the so-called oracle room, amplify sound in remarkable ways. A whisper, a chant, or the vibration of a drum resonates and carries throughout the space with astonishing clarity. Did the builders intentionally harness these acoustic effects for ritual purposes, perhaps to communicate with the spiritual realm or to create a sense of awe during ceremonies? The precise combination of architecture, sound, and light suggests a sophisticated understanding of sensory experience that transcends mere construction. Burial and ritual appear intertwined within the hypogeum's labyrinth. Excavations have uncovered human remains, over 7,000 individuals in total, alongside carved figurines, pottery, and ochre deposits. The placement of these burials and the treatment of the bodies suggest a highly ritualized practice, reflecting a world view that connected death, the subterranean realm, and perhaps the cycles of nature or the cosmos. What beliefs motivated this meticulous care in interring the dead underground? And how did these practices inform the daily and spiritual life of the living community above? The design of the hypogeum demonstrates a remarkable attention to proportion and geometry. Corridors and chambers often follow precise alignments, some of which appear to correlate with solar or lunar events, echoing patterns observed in Malta's above-ground temples. Could the hypogeum have functioned as a kind of celestial observatory, a ritual calendar, or a symbolic gateway connecting the earthly and spiritual worlds? The combination of subterranean architecture, burial, and possibly astronomical alignment hints at a worldview that integrated material, spiritual, and cosmic dimensions into a single, enduring structure. Speculative interpretations have only deepened the monument's allure. Some suggest that the hypogeum's construction reflects knowledge of advanced surveying or engineering techniques now lost to history. Others propose that the acoustic phenomena indicate intentional ritual manipulation, a form of sonic architecture designed to induce altered states or communicate with unseen realms. While such ideas cannot be verified, they speak to the continuing mystery of a site that challenges our understanding of Neolithic societies and their capabilities. Descending the carved corridors today, one is struck by the intimate yet monumental scale of the hypogeum. The walls, smooth and worn with millennia of touch, convey a sense of reverence and permanence. Light filters through narrow openings, casting elongated shadows that shift across chambers and pillars, heightening the sense of otherworldliness. Every step through the labyrinth feels like a passage through time, a connection to the hands and minds of those who carved this subterranean world with purpose, devotion, and an understanding that is largely lost to us. As we emerge from the hypogeum into the Maltese sunlight, a question lingers. What knowledge, beliefs, and experiences remain hidden within its subterranean depths, encoded in stone, sound, and shadow? How much of the spiritual, social, and technical sophistication of its builders has been lost to time, leaving only this silent, enigmatic monument to speak across millennia? The hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni endures not merely as a burial site, but as a prehistoric megastructure that continues to challenge assumptions, inspire awe, and invite reflection on the ingenuity and mystery of the civilizations that shaped it.